Hello again, my friends. I'm Covenant Ironface, and this is my partner, Drekmo Chris. We represent Team No. Once again, back in the movie craze, and we went and did a double feature today. Yay! We went and saw Maze Runner 1 and 2. 1 came out, what, a year ago?
Yeah, 1's been out for a little bit, so we're going to assume that you've probably already seen it. If not, go check it out or something. But we're mainly going to cover the second one since it's brand new.
Okay, and if you've read the books, don't expect it to be anything like it.
Yeah, I honestly haven't read the books, but apparently it is nothing like the original books, and a lot of people say it's good, some people say it's bad. Take it for granted either way. But the first thing we obviously really want to look at, of course, is our characters and... Sorry, our plot. Plot!
Words, sir.
Words today. So at the end of the first movie, they escape the maze. Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the first one. Woo!
Yeah.
And they're getting out into... They're got by this group that is unnamed at the time. And the essential idea of this is they're trying to not only get out farther, but they're trying to cross a desolate world and get to a safe haven outside of the maze now. All while running from the people that put them in the maze in the first place. Woo!
Yep. I don't remember the actor's name, but he comes back again to play the character of Thomas, who, for the most part, is a pretty good actor. Fits well within the world.
It's good. He is doing pretty good. I hope to see good stuff from him in the future. If you remember his name.
Yeah, if I can ever remember his name. But then again, I can't remember Littlefinger's name either.
Lord Baelish.
Anyways, of the main characters from the first movie, only about 4 or 5 remain to make this trek to the safe haven. Of course, that being Thomas and that being primarily Teresa, which we can't say a lot about because there's a lot going on that you kind of have to have a subtext for. You really need to watch it in order to understand what's going on. As far as the villains go, I'm sorry if I'm spoiling anything, but the guy who plays Littlefinger is the villain. As soon as you see the trailer, you know he's the villain. He looks like the villain, he talks like the villain, he walks like the villain, he is the villain.
Even though he shows up, we're here to save you. Villain!
Yep, villain.
But he is the main villain here, and he actually, just like anything else you see him in, he does really good. He's very, thoughtful, kind of the mastermind type guy, but he's not against getting his hands dirty when needed. He's a really good bad guy anywhere he is. And of course the doctor, she's also a villain, but she really doesn't play that much of a part other than being, I'm kind of in the background doing villainy things for the greater good.
Greater good. Shut it! Other than that, there aren't too many side characters to speak of besides Jorge and Brenda.
Well, they meet into people who went through similar trials that they did. And so other people who claim they came from a maze. And they don't really add too much to the story other than to let you know that, they're not the only ones. And there's a bunch of other survivors. And then, there's the gang they run into, Jorge and Brenda. All they really do, though, is they point out that this is something going on worldwide for the other survivors, and Jorge and Brenda help them get to their destination. But not really much other than that. I kind of like Jorge a lot, though, because he acted like a villain. He really was. When you first run into him, he seems like a villain, but he's
kind of like a mini boss.
Mini boss. We'll call you mid-boss. But he quickly changes, and because of this, I think he's the most developed character in the movie. Because he seems to be a bad guy at first, but he has his reasons for suddenly becoming a good person. And you genuinely hey, I can understand what this guy is going through. The other kind of sub-character that we mentioned, Brenda, he treats like his own daughter, and when she's in danger, he suddenly is like, I'll do anything to help her, kind of thing. So, of everyone else, he's the most important character, in my opinion.
And he does kind of have a personality. Whereas, everybody else is like, hey, we survived the maze, or hey, we're the bad guys. But this guy actually does present his personality. And I thought it was really genuine.
Yeah, like I said,
the guy is a good actor, and I would like to see more of him in probably the third movie. Assuming they
of all the characters besides Lord Baelish, I'd have to say Jorge is the best. Even past our main characters, like Thomas is good, but because of the whole amnesia thing, you really don't see Thomas developed. He's always been, I'm just a leader. He was thrown in the first movie as a leader. Everyone just followed him. Jorge actually develops as a character rather quickly, and you can understand him. But beyond that, we've covered pretty much all the important characters. The rest of the sub-characters are random bad guy number 1 or random good guy number 3.
Yeah, pretty much. The difference between this movie and Mad Max is astounding to me. Because in this world, it looks like an apocalyptic world. You have a destroyed city, you have the destroyed Brooklyn Bridge or whatever that bridge is. No, the Golden Gate Bridge, I'm sorry. Wow, that's quite a mix-up. And then you see the science fictioning part where the bad guys are building their base, and you see the camp where the safe haven guys are trying to hide, and you see this world and you believe it. It's like, okay, well, the world was just, they say at the end of the first movie that the world was destroyed by a solar flare, and you can kind of believe it.
Yeah, if we're comparing this to like Mad Max, because you look at Mad Max and yes, they're both really big desert worlds, but in Mad Max there was nothing of the previous world left behind, whereas this is most definitely a destroyed city. You can see the ruins of the previous civilization crumbling around you, and it does feel more feasible than some of your other apocalyptic movies that have come around because of that. Unfortunately, at the same time, you still see some of the same, hey, it's just crumbling buildings everywhere, tons of them. I guess it's true for a city, but landscape-wise, it's not that appealing, in my opinion. It's just, meh, we have seen this before.
Yeah. Anyways, coming up in a couple of weeks is Hotel Transylvania 2, which I don't think you've seen the first one. I definitely have.
I have seen the first one, actually.
Okay. So we'll be able to compare and contrast that to somebody who hasn't seen the first one to somebody who has.
But before we jump to that, overall for this movie at least, even with what I don't like about it, I would say it was worth to go see. Anyone locally the double feature's still on, go for it. And it was good buy, in my opinion. Go check out the movie.
Science fiction, double feature, picture show.
Okay, anyways. But of course, if you like what you see, go ahead and click like down below. If you want to keep following, subscribe. And we'd love to see you next time.
See ya.